Hello everyone, this hour on Verbling, the next in my Getting Results in Business series. Today we're going to be starting a brand new unit on how to be on schedule. So we're going to be talking about the language of basically projects and project management, scheduling, and everything that goes into being productive in a short-term project. So that's a bit about my class. Here's a bit about me. I'm Jon-Eric, your Verbling teacher for this hour. I'm an American teacher from New York, hanging out in Lisbon, Portugal to bring you this class. By the way, here are 3 quick rules to help you participate in my class. Don't forget to turn off, tune in, and open up, which means turn off your microphone when you're not speaking so we can keep the classroom quiet, particularly if there's lots of people in the classroom. Rule 2 is tune in to the new words you're learning. Use them as actively as you can so that I can give you corrections and feedback. And finally, open up to your classmates. Relaxed and have fun. We're all here to learn, and this is a safe and respectful place to practice your English. I'm going to put on screen our new unit. You can take a quick look. And let's see who we have here. Tony, there you go. Now I can see your name. How are you, Tony?
Fine, thanks. And you, Jon-Eric?
Pretty good. So, Tony, is this your first time here? Because I don't remember a Tony.
Yes, it's my first time with you.
Okay.
In fact, today is my first time here with Verbling.
Okay. Very good. Where are you from, Tony?
From Spain, from Barcelona.
From Barcelona. Okay, very good. Well, this is a business class, and what we do, let me get my face back on screen here. Oh, my name is not there. Hold on a second. I've got to put my name there so you know I'm the teacher. Otherwise, you don't know who you're looking at. Let's see if I can get my name on screen. We're going to say Verbling teacher. There we go. Now you know I'm the teacher. And this, by the way, is a plant. That thing in my face right here. I can't get rid of it. So in this class, we do about 1 unit every 2 weeks from Monday to Thursday. In the first class, we start a new unit by basically talking about the theme. And we've got a few different ways we can talk about the theme. Basically, we start off by thinking about, I usually give you an image to look at and think about how that relates to the theme that we're going to discuss. And then we've got some listening or reading to do where we pick out key vocabulary words, and that gives us a vocabulary to talk about what we're going to talk about. And then we move on to more practical skills, just to give you a little sense of how we do it normally. Okay? Let me just say a quick hello to who else? Jesus? Is that Jesus from the last class?
Yes, teacher, hi again.
Hi. Yes, I had some problems. Something happened and I got kicked out. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, I was going to ask you because I didn't know if it was my internet connection or what.
No, I don't know. I'm not sure what happened. Anyway, here we are. Hopefully it won't happen again. If I disappear, if it's not the end of class, if it's in the middle of the class and I disappear, just wait a minute and I'm coming back in. Okay, just so you know. All right. By the way, I've got a very bad cold today, so if I'm dripping, just ignore me. Franz. Hello, Franz. How are you?
Hi, good morning, everyone. My first time here at all.
Where are you from, Franz?
I'm half Swiss, half Brazilian. I used to live my whole life in Switzerland, but now I'm living here in Brazil for the last 14 months.
It's a little bit hard to hear you because you sound a little bit far from the microphone. So did you say you're from Berlin? Is that it?
No, I'm from Switzerland, actually.
Switzerland. Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah. But now I'm living in Brazil for the last couple of months.
You've been living in Switzerland for a couple of months. Is that right?
No, in Brazil. South America.
In where?
In Brazil.
In Brazil. Ah, okay. Yeah, it's a little hard to hear you. You sound a little bit
yeah.
muffled,
Okay.
like you have something between you and the microphone.
What about now?
Eh. More or less.
Okay, give me a minute. I don't want to disturb the class.
All right. But don't worry. I can hear you. It's just you got to speak a little bit slow because it sounds just a bit muffled. So speak just a little bit slowly when you have to speak, okay? And
Okay.
welcome back, Yuki. Nice to see you. How are you?
Good. Thank you.
Yeah? All right. Well, we had some Hangout problems in the last class. Let's hope there are no more problems in this class. So far, we're doing okay. Hopefully, it'll be all right. Okay, we're going to get started here. Let me share my presentation with you first. Don't forget, you can download this presentation yourself. All you need to do is click on the link I'm about to give you in the chat box, presentation 1, and there's the link. The second link I'm going to give you is our notes. I used the notes. Hello, Bashir. Why don't you come into class? I used the notes to correct you. So if I make corrections or if I give you suggestions or new vocabulary words, I will record those in the notes, and I'll put the notes on screen later. Okay, you'll see it later. Let me just go to my notes right now. You'll see on page 5 of the notes that we have today's class, which is Unit 19, on schedule. And I've got a note there for the 21st of July that says vocabulary. So as we do our first exercises, I'll be putting vocabulary and making corrections there for you. That way, you have a record of what we've talked about. Okay? So we're going to get started. Here's the plan. In each class, we usually begin by looking at a picture that tells us something about the theme of the unit. And we even have a way to talk about the picture. If I say, hey, what does this picture make you think of? You can come up with lots of ideas. But I've given you a technique to help you structure your thoughts. Let me give you a quick example of that, actually. For those of you who are new, if you click on the notes, let me go to the top. If you click on the notes, you'll see this when you open it, Getting Results in Business. And then you can scroll down. There's news there on the second page about flashcards. Giuseppe later, when he's had some practice with the flashcards, he can tell you if he thinks they're good or bad. We'll talk about it another time. My contact information. But then on page 3, it has a list of everything we've done since the class began. You can see we've covered more than 2 levels. We started in pre-intermediate, and now we're in upper intermediate, the B2 level so far. Whoops, shouldn't be capitalized. 1 second. Meant to say upper intermediate. And then on page 4, you've got a table of contents. You'll notice in the table of contents it says how to describe a photo or picture. So if I click on that, it jumps me down to page 8, and this is from another class, but it's useful here too. So I didn't give you lots and lots of connector words, but I gave you some. Notice there's 4 things you can do here. And I'll just quickly update this. Draw a conclusion. Whoops. A little hard to write and speak at the same time. Okay, you'll see four steps. Say what you see. Guess or speculate about why you're seeing it. Then you can compare and contrast it to something you're familiar with. And finally, either offer a personal preference about those things or draw a conclusion about the thing you're describing. So I suggested this in a class a long time ago, And you don't have to use these steps, but if you do, it gives you a way to structure your ideas. So what we're going to do is we're going to do steps 1 and 2 first, and then maybe 1 or 2 people will do those, and then 1 or 2 people will compare, contrast, and offer a conclusion. So if you want to see those exact steps, take a look on page 8, the bottom of page 8 in our notes document. Okay? I'm not going to keep those on the screen because I want you to look at the picture. But if you want to get some key expressions, that's where you'll do it. Okay? So let me get the presentation back on screen. There you go. All right. So we're going to start with Giuseppe and Franz. You're going to say what you see and guess about why. Giuseppe, you're going to go first because you've been here before. All right? And so you only have to point out one detail because we're going to have a lot of people giving details. Okay? So say what you see about that picture. Remember the key expressions. There appears to be, there most likely is, it seems to be. Any of those expressions will be okay. All right?
Okay. Well, it seems to be a cross-circular section holding by a support structure, because the cross-section circular is holding in the air, and I can see that there are some pistons.
Not I can't see, but I see. Not I
but
can't
I see,
see, but I
but
see.
I see some pistons, which are probably holding the structure.
You said pistons? Was that pistons?
Pistons.
Okay, like in a car, the pistons.
Yeah, but these are different pistons.
Okay.
These are industrial. I suppose they are hydraulic pistons.
Ah, okay. Well, maybe we'll call those hydraulics, because if we say pistons, people will think of a car in English.
Okay.
If you're a technician, obviously you're going to use different language, but in everyday business language, we'll probably say that we can see hydraulics. Hydraulics. Okay, and just one thing, Giuseppe, what was the very first thing you said? You said something circular. I didn't quite catch the word you used.
Cross-circular section.
Cross-circular section. Wow. Wow. That sounds very technical. What does it mean?
No, I mean the shape of the shape of the equipment. The equipment.
Ah, okay. So when you say cross-section, that often means that something has been cut in half, like a cross-section if you're dissecting an animal in biology. You have a cross-section. So, or if you have an MRI, they can see a cross-section of your brain or something. So it's not wrong, it's just that maybe we could say it in a more simple way. We could say, I don't know. So there's some kind of circular equipment with, you said support. Did you? Support? What was the word you used for the green thing? Was it support?
Support, holding support.
Okay. We can call that scaffolding. Scaffolding, by the way. Repeat after me. Scaffolding.
Scaffolding.
That's it. I'm going to put these words in the chat window. Not the chat window, sorry. I'm going to put these words under today's class, July 21st. Scaffolding is what you see when they're constructing or repairing. Scaffolding. And I don't know what it is in Italian. In Portuguese, it's andaime. I forgot how to even say it in Portuguese, but in Italian, maybe it's similar. I don't know. The other word was hydraulics. Hydraulics. Like that. Whoops. Not spelled like that. Hold on. There we go. So scaffolding, hydraulics, and don't forget equipment.
Equipment.
Just for the pronunciation, not equip, but equip. Okay. All right, very good. So we've scared away Franz. He was here, but he got scared. Franz, come back. It's safe. Don't worry. Maybe he lost his connection. So we're going to go to Jesus. So far, Giuseppe said that he can see some kind of circular equipment with a green scaffold or scaffolding next to it, and maybe some hydraulics that are supporting it. Okay, so that's a lot of detail. Jesus, what can you see?
Well,
Can you add anything to the description?
I think he's so right about what he has said, but well, I don't know if I could add something new. Don't know.
Remember, you talk about size.
Sorry?
You can talk about many things. You can talk about the size. You can describe size. You can describe shape. You can
Seems
you can describe function or use. You can describe place. You can describe time. Anything you can possibly think of with an adjective can be used. You don't have to know what you're looking at. Actually, I have no idea what this is. I have absolutely no clue what we're looking at.
Well, I think it's a very, very big structure, maybe for any energetic or in engineering use.
Okay, for engineering, right?
Well, I think apart from its function, it's a bit decorated with so many colors. So I don't know what it could be used, but it's a bit strange.
It is. It looks very important. Okay, very good. Jesus, in the next part of our how to describe a picture or photo, it says guess or speculate about why. And you've got some key expressions there. You'll see this on page 8 of our notes. The bottom of page 8, you'll see there may be, there might be, I suppose, I'd imagine, or you can give an illustration of why you think something is. I gave an example. Well, if you don't, we'll get to illustrations later. But anyway, look at those first three. I suppose, there may be, there might be, I'd imagine. I want you to make one guess about why you're being shown this picture. In other words, what's the connection to being on schedule? What's the connection that they're trying to suggest for us? What do you think?
Well, I suppose that superstructure might be used with an energetic function. I also see it could be a man in the circular
part. Right. It's a guy with a hard hat. He's got a little yellow hard hat. He's sitting up there.
Yeah. Well, that's it.
All right. So, in terms of why we're seeing it and what it has to do with schedules, you might say, well, I suppose it's a complicated piece of equipment. And if things don't run on time, everything has to maybe work together. Right? You know that expression, to work together. Everything has to work together or the machine will fall apart. So maybe that's a reason why we're looking at this picture. It's no right or wrong. It's just an idea. Okay, and let's go on to I think it's Tony. Yeah. So Tony, you can add to what you see. You can add to why you're seeing it, but you must compare and contrast it with something you're familiar with. You can compare and contrast it to something related to schedules, like your own work schedule, or you can compare and contrast it to other equipment. It doesn't matter as long as you keep to the theme of scheduling. Okay?
Okay. Well, it seems to be a plant
Okay, yeah. So maybe like an energy plant or something.
Yes, something like a plant of a factory or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I suppose that they are manufacturing some elements,
Mm-hmm.
and well,
Maybe
we
they're manufacturing something industrial, like something.
yes, I think something like that. But for me, it's especially relevant
Mm-hmm.
the colors because the colors of the pictures.
Right.
I can see the green, red, and orange colors that I that remember me to the
That
the
remind me.
yeah, sorry, they remind me
Mm-hmm.
that maybe we are well. What I mean is that they seems very similar to KPIs.
Uh-huh. KPI.
Guys, when you look for the progress for the of a task or the complete project,
Right.
you have sometimes with some methodologies you have colors in order to know if the task or the project is in progress or or we are going late.
Right. We
So
call that color coordination. Color coordination. So a task can be color coordinated. Color coordinated. That's the expression.
okay,
Coordinated. The vocabulary on page 5 as well. So some tasks are color coordinated so that they're like easily recognizable. That's what you mean, right?
yeah.
Yeah, okay, very good. And so you can then compare and contrast that with the picture. So whereas in KPIs that I'm familiar with, we have color coordination. Here in this industrial manufacturing plant, they seem to have colors play an important role too, right? What role do you think they play here, out of curiosity?
Well, it seems that the green colors are paths, are the paths where the people work on in order to go to everywhere in the plant.
In order to
And
get around. In order to
yeah,
get around.
to get around. The red color, it seems to be well, danger.
Okay, yeah. Maybe that's a
So
sign that this is a serious piece of equipment, right?
maybe you don't touch this piece in
Right.
the plant or something like that. The orange or yellow colors, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, maybe that's something that you can touch, like that's the electronics,
Mhm.
perhaps. Yeah, that's a very good idea. In fact, it didn't even occur to me. If you see pictures of the Googleplex or you see the Google factories, there are colors everywhere, and they have different pipes with different circuits with cables running through different parts of the Googleplex. Everything is color coordinated. It's not just there to be pretty. I mean, it is there to be pretty, but it's also there functionally, I believe. So don't forget, color coordinated and to get around. So that's a very interesting idea. And Yuki, um, the last thing we're going to do is either draw a conclusion or give a personal preference. So you can pick up on what anyone else said, or you can add something new. Remember, the notes are on the bottom of page 8 if you want some key expressions, okay? So what would you add to this, to what Tony and the others have said?
I do imagine that it's a flying object,
Like a UFO?
keeping in the storage of U.S. Army.
Like Roswell? Like Area
like
51?
like Roswell.
Oh, okay. Very
But
good.
in reality, I suppose that it is excavator of tunnel. Um,
Oh,
it,
to dig tunnels.
yes, it is used to dig tunnel. It's a gigantic apparatus
Right.
to dig a ground. Uh, Before tunnel is made by hand, construction of tunnel is taking place by people's hands, but
Mhm.
it was very uh, tiring, and it takes a long time to make a tunnel. So now such a gigantic excavator is used.
Are you saying excavator?
Yes,
Excavator?
excavator, excavator. Sorry.
Yeah, it makes sense. I don't know if we use that word though, excavator. I don't know. I've never heard that word, but it makes sense. To excavate
Uh,
is to uncover.
it is the machine for excavating tunnel.
Ah, okay. Well, we would just say digging. It's
Digging,
easier.
just
Digging.
dig. Okay.
Okay, very good. Could be. So to conclude,
So
it seems like it's some kind of apparatus to dig a tunnel. And there you go. I could add to this. Well, if I had to make a choice between how to run a project and keep it on schedule, I would go with Tony's KPIs. KPIs are key performance indicators. KPI, key performance indicators. And I would use color coordination to assign tasks or to show people what kind of tasks they were doing. Red tasks are high priority. Orange tasks are important, but they're not urgent. And maybe green are tasks where you have to work with another person or something like that. So I think color coordination is a great way to go, and it seems to work in an industrial plant like this one. So there's my attempt to give a personal preference at the end. All right, very good, everyone. In fact, some ideas that never even occurred to me. Um, if anyone can find out what this actually is, I will email you a cookie, okay? Because I have no idea what we're looking at. It's just a picture somehow related to scheduling. In this unit, we're going to be talking about managing projects. We'll be asking for and giving updates on a project. So the key expressions you would use to give updates and also ask your team for updates. We'll be making and responding suggestions. So as the project is going along, you've got to keep everyone on task. You've got to, in a polite and diplomatic way, make suggestions that will make the project be more efficient. So that's a very good skill to practice in here. Later on, we'll be doing something more practical, catching up with colleagues. So in the process of doing a project, you might catch up and say, oh, where are we with these kind of things? So we'll be looking at very practical language skills there. And towards the end of the unit, we'll be updating on current projects by revising verb tenses. Present perfect, the have done verb tense, versus the past simple, which is the did verb tense. Have done, have gone, versus did and went. So we'll be revising those verb tenses in this context. And we're going to start today by talking about managing projects. That's our starting point for today. So I've got some things for you to discuss as a class. And once we decide how we feel about these things, we're then, if we have time, we're going to be looking at a few tips or pointers for doing a project. Just like in the last unit, where we looked at 10 strategies for motivation. Today we're going to be looking at some tips or pointers about how to do a project efficiently. But first, we got 4 people right now. So one question each. You can all discuss the questions, but let's each of you read one. So let's go back to Giuseppe. Could you read the first question and we'll discuss it as a group?
In your experience, What are the key factors in managing a project, however big or small?
Okay, why don't you start us off on that, and then everyone else is going to agree, disagree, add, subtract, that kind of thing. So you give us your opinion first, Giuseppe.
Well, in my experience, I've been able to manage a small project regarding the process of a machine in the field of photovoltaic industries, and the key factors depends on the key factors are the budget, the background of persons, or the person who works on the project.
Is it persons or people?
People, sorry.
People.
And of course, when you have to manage a project, you have to look for design, specification, and so on.
Design, in layman's terms, in everyday language, means like graphic design. Is that what you mean? You mean the colors, the shape, the size, or what do you mean by design?
I mean at the draw. You have to look at the draw, mechanical draw.
Oh, you mean the blueprint?
Okay, blueprint. I didn't know that.
The blueprint is the mechanical drawing. The blueprint.
Yes, the mechanical, electrical, and so on. All the main things that which consisted of the machine or the project. I mean, a project could be a machinery, it could be the building of construction, the building of a tunnel, and so on.
So some of the main points were consider the budget, considering the background of the people involved, the staff, and consider the design, things to keep in mind when you're trying to manage a project, right? Those are the main ideas?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay. And let me open it up to the class. What do you think, class? Do you agree with Giuseppe? Would you add anything to that list? Are there things that he hasn't mentioned? Talk about your experience. This is for everyone. For Tony, Yuki, who else is there? Jesus, right. Anything you would add?
Okay. I think that the human factor is really important in order to manage a project in a good way. The process, the methodology, and also the tools that you use to manage and control this project. But in my opinion, well, I work in the IT industry.
IT sector.
IT sector, and the principal problem that we find is that technical people isn't usually qualified to manage a project.
Say that one more time from the beginning. Technical people are what?
Are not qualified.
Okay.
To manage projects.
Okay.
And I think you need a proactive attitude. You have to manage risk every day, every time. You have to think not only in technical questions, but in dependencies between tasks, in milestones, in requirements, and you need to think all day in this kind of things. And technical people usually only think in do the technical task, not in other considerations that can affect the global project, to the success of the project. So initially, I thought that people were not qualified to do that. Technical people, I mean. But after working one project and another, I think that technical people think things in a special way. And
So technical people think differently, in other words.
yes, yes, they think differently, and it's rare. It's rare that a technical computer, a technical consultant can manage a project efficiently from my experience.
Without training, you mean?
No, even with training.
Oh, really? Even with training? Uh-oh.
Really, I can. For me, it's difficult to find a person that is good in the technical tasks and also good in the management tasks, because they are different profiles. They think in a different way.
Not profiles. Not profiles. Backgrounds. Backgrounds.
Backgrounds. Backgrounds.
Instead of profiles, because profiles doesn't really mean anything. Profiles is like your record with the police.
Okay.
I have a profile, but it's better to say background because that includes your experience and your education. So they have different backgrounds. That's what I would say here, rather than profile.
Okay, but I wanted to mean not focus on experience, but on what you had, where your I don't know what you have inside. I don't know the word to say that.
You mean something in you specifically. Like whether you're introverted or extroverted. You mean you have something in your personality.
Yes, maybe your abilities, your talent.
Okay.
So,
okay. It's hard to come up with one word for that. There's a lot of things we could say. So in general, we're going to say skills, though. I mean, in general, we'll probably say skills because, like, interpersonal skills means how you deal with other people, right? Intersubjectivity. Or so we tend to look at them as skills even if they're not exactly skills, because the idea in business is that you can always be trained. Whether that's true or not is another issue. But for that reason, to be constructive about it, we tend to call them skills. So, and then we got soft skills and hard skills. Soft skills are people skills, and hard skills are like technical training and like your declarative knowledge. So that's another thing to think about, maybe soft skills versus skills. But you could say other things, capabilities, words to on page 4, by the way, or 5, sorry. Capabilities, soft skills. I just don't like the word profile because it doesn't really mean anything. It sounds like a police record. You've been profiled at the airport by the NSA or something. I don't know. So I would be careful with the word profile. Okay.
Okay.
And by the way, just a quick point here. If you look on page 5, you've mentioned some good vocabulary. So I said sector versus industry. Industry is okay, but sector is a better word for when you're talking about IT, because we say sectors of the economy. So industry is okay too, but sector is maybe a little bit better here with IT, because it's much more of a virtual industry in a way. Proactive is a great word that you use. Risk management. There's a fixed expression, risk management. They have to consider risk management. Not the management of risk. You can talk about it like that, but you don't need to, because it's a fixed expression that everyone uses, risk management. By the way, do we say think in or think about? Because in Portuguese and Spanish and Italian, we probably say think in. But in English, we'd say think about something. Because in Portuguese, here, I would say pensar em, which it translates as think about. We wouldn't say pensar sobre, because that sounds a little bit weird. So it's probably a translation from Spanish there. Think about things. What do we think about? I forgot exactly what you were saying. But you said think in. That's why I wrote it down. Okay? All right. So all of that is for you to review later on the bottom of page 5. Yuki, can you read the second question for us?
Second question.
Yeah.
What can you go right with the project? What can go wrong?
What do you think?
I don't know.
This is very broad, so we're talking about any kind of project. It doesn't matter. But what do you think? What are some things in general that can go right or wrong?
From a view of corporate profit, you can think that it go right if I don't know how to say. It's very obscure question.
Give an example, maybe. Give a concrete example with real people. I mean, think about something that may have happened to you. I don't know. Because it's just your opinion.
I have no idea. What can go right?
Okay, we'll come back. Well, think about it for a minute. Let's open up to the class. What do you think, class? What are some things in general, the most general terms that could go right and wrong? I mean, for me, I was trying to write it on the board, but my little app isn't working. I was going to put pluses and minuses on the board, but it won't let me write for some reason, so I don't know what's going on. I was going to write on the board there, time management in general is something that can go very wrong. So you've got to have some way to handle time management. For example, using what are those called? Gantt, G-A-N-T-T, Gantt charts, to try to map out the project stages in advance, so that everyone knows what stage we're on, what we need to accomplish to get to the next stage. I think, Tony, you mentioned milestones, so that's another thing. If you've got milestones in the project, that's good for time management because everyone feels a sense of accomplishment. So that's one thing I would say. What do you think as a class? What are some other things, or what's your experience even with time management? What do you think?
Well, you might have a problem with spare parts delay.
Okay.
If you have to replenish some parts.
So we'll call that logistics. Logistics could be an issue. Sounds good. So waiting on spare parts, for example, if it's something technical, or just getting people to coordinate with each other, especially if there's different companies involved. Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, that's good. I mean, I just want to get some general ideas. If there's anything you want to add, just jump in there and add it. And Tony, can you read the third question for us?
Yes, okay. What projects are you currently working on in or out of work?
Say that second word for me one more time, please. Tony, say the second word again, please.
Projects?
Projects.
Projects.
Yeah, you've got to get that J sound. Projects.
Projects.
Right.
It's difficult, this sound, for Spanish people.
It is difficult. But if I point it out, you'll start to be more aware of it. If I point it out to you. The problem is speaking a foreign language without any feedback or correction. That's the problem. Because when I'm here in Portugal, I don't have a teacher. I speak Portuguese okay for someone who never studied the language. I mean, I just picked it up, but I've never gotten feedback, so I make stupid mistakes all the time because no one ever corrects me. They just don't understand me. So, right? So, for example, if the word, and words that end with CIA, like, I don't know, paciencia, or something like that, I tend to say it with a ts because it sounds natural in English, but you don't say it that way in Portuguese, right? So it's a soft s sound. Things like that. Anyway, so you don't have to get it right now, but the more I correct you, the more you'll be aware and the more you'll start to self-correct. So the question is, what projects are you currently working on in and out of work? Well, tell me about your projects. I'd like to hear what all three of you are doing. What projects are you working on right now? What kinds of things?
Well, I don't personal or professional projects.
It could be either, because both of them have to be scheduled, and both of them have stages. So it's up to you what you feel like talking about.
Well, at home, it's my wife who is in charge of schedule and assign all the tasks. So
I see. There you go. So she decides who's doing what project.
Yeah.
I see. I see. What about the rest of you? What are you doing? What kind of projects are you working on? Just out of curiosity. I mean, learning English is a project.
Yeah, of course. And today is the first day for this project. So I'm still thinking about the way of learned in the best way, the better way. But
well, part of it is learning by doing. Part of it is that and getting corrected. Part of it is this, the very first thing we did, getting an overview of the project. And that's why I tried to do in the very beginning. Give you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points to show you how the unit will be divided up, and that the first thing we're going to do is just kind of brainstorm and start to generate vocabulary about managing projects. So getting an overview is something that it's not only something we should do, it's a good vocabulary word. When you're having a meeting, you could say, well, listen everyone, we need to get an overview about what needs to be done before we begin. So in talking about this stuff, a lot of times the right vocabulary words just come up. So anyway, that's just another point I could bring up here. By the way, Yuki, Giuseppe, what kind of projects are you working on, just out of curiosity?
I have no project. No, I have no particular project. But usually I have my own aims of concrete my work. For example, as a work, for example, as a teacher, I have a project, and so I don't know.
Each class is a project, in a way. Each class is a project.
Not a project.
Well, as a teacher, I think about each unit as a project and each class as one stage of the project. If I don't think about it that way, I get lost, because I try to think about everything relating back to one central idea, and that helps me unify in my mind, unify what we're doing, and remind people of things in the right stage and manage the time and things like that. That's what I do anyway.
And like activity in corporation, I don't have a long-term project, but I think I have a task or mission. It is on the whole, it is to improve language skill of my students, and maybe improving and making a good material for study.
That sounds like a very big project.
I don't know, it is not a big project, but it maybe making a good schedule, learning schedule is also included in our mission. So it is difficult to say. Our work is differ from companies.
But there are some things that aren't common, right? Getting an overview is something that you do before a project. Setting up stages with particular goals. Differentiating tasks from the overall, you used the word, you said mission, or maybe I'd use, mission is fine, but maybe I'd use the word objective, the overall objective. So there are some things that aren't common, actually. And we're going to tackle one last question before the end of class here, which is question 4. So we're back to Giuseppe for question 4. Can you read that for us?
What progress are you making? What problems have you had?
So think about the last project you worked in, whether it was personal or professional, and tell us about how it went. For example, I'm probably going to be working on the project of learning Italian very quickly, probably, because it seems like I'll be going to Italy. It seems that way. I don't know. We'll find out soon. But if I am, I'll have about 6 weeks to learn Italian. So it's going to be a big project. But I will be determined to speak Italian at an intermediate level before I arrive. Absolutely determined to do it, because I don't expect to have good vocabulary, but I expect to be able to know the grammar and be able to construct sentences and express myself. So for me,
you'll be fine.
Well, I've spent a long time figuring out how to do it. So now it's a matter of putting it to the test, because I didn't learn Portuguese. I just absorbed it, and now I speak it, and I make a lot of mistakes. But I'm not going to make that mistake with Italian.
Well, if you will work on the north of Italy, people get annoying if you don't speak clearly in Italian.
Excellent. Because here, no one ever wants to speak Portuguese. They all want to speak English here. They all want to practice their English, which is a major problem if you're trying to learn their language. But anyway, I've been here long enough that I picked it up. So let me hear about you, Giuseppe. What was the last project you worked on? How did it go? Did you make progress? What kind of problems did you run into? Just out of curiosity.
Well, I've been working, when I worked in the last company, in the lasting company, I've been involved I've been involved in improving the performance of the machine in the overall, especially in the process, because the process machine, and in the overall, the performance was improved, but the process was really tough, and in that period I've been working on how to improve it, and then I just established a connection with different companies which product in this kind of spare parts, and I tested.
Product or produced?
It's
as a verb. You mean to produce, or do you mean that they had products, like as a noun? They had products, or they produced?
Product.
Products. Okay. You had to. We say liaise, connect. You had to liaise with companies that had those products.
Yeah, I had to liaise with them, and then due to due to the non-conformance material by the customer, I said to my manager that it's quite impossible to have the machinery specs with this sort of materials provided by the company, by the customers. So the customer was the intent of the customer was to reduce the cost of materials, but at the same time raise up the cost of the cost of upkeep the machinery.
So wait, not raised up, but just raised. So on one hand, you were lowering the costs, but on the other hand, it was raising the upkeep.
Yes.
Is that right? Okay, got it.
And then after 4 or 5 months, I said to my manager, I give up, because if the customer doesn't change the material, I won't do it anything, because it's impossible. Because we are talking about micron. The photovoltaic panel, you have to concern about the isolation and
insulation.
Insulation.
Right.
Insulation, right.
By the way, Tony, this is his first class. Tell him what you do for a living, because he doesn't know anything about your work. What do you do?
Well, I have a small company.
Sorry, wait. I meant, Tony, you don't know what Giuseppe is describing. You don't know what he does for a living. Giuseppe, tell Tony what you do.
Well, in the last 5 years, I worked as a field service technician in the field of photovoltaic industries. And
wait, slow down. Did you understand that, Tony?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, good. I wasn't sure. He was speaking quickly. So, field service technician in
photovoltaic industries.
Okay.
And in 10 days, I will move on to renewable industries such as biomass, water treatment, water waste treatment, and so on.
Biomass? What do you mean by biomass?
Biomass is a renewable energy source.
From what?
From
organic.
From organic, yes. From organic, from
waste. From organic waste.
From organic waste, from food waste.
Sewage as well.
Yeah, sewage. Yeah, sewage.
Okay.
Yes.
So we have to use fancy words like biomass, so we don't know that we're talking about poo-poo. Biomass sounds so much better, doesn't it? Sounds so much more appealing. And Tony, what do you do? You said you have a small company in IT, right? Tony?
Yes?
Sorry, what were you saying before? You have a small company in IT, is that it?
Yeah, and we provide with professional services to our customers. We work with Microsoft technologies and solutions. And at this moment, where we are based on Barcelona, but we are thinking on open delegations. I don't know. Branches in another countries. So we have to learn English in a quick way, in an agile way, in the best way.
Right. Well, the Verbling classes are good for practice because these are all conversation classes. So in that sense, Verbling is very good because it's affordable and you have lots of practice, 24 hours of practice if you like. For more specific skills, I don't know if the group classes can do that. If you have to work on something specific, it might be possible. Some of these business classes will work. But anyway, in terms of just getting lots of speaking practice, it's a very good place. I just wish they still had other languages so that I could practice, and the right teachers in those languages. There were other group classes in French and Spanish, and well, they're still Spanish, but Italian and Russian. I hope that they bring those back someday. That would be good for me. Anyway, enough about me. We're going to stop because we're at the end of the hour. But before we go, we're going to do a quick summary, okay? So take a look at some of the things we've learned so far. In terms of vocabulary, we had some technical words. We haven't talked yet about scheduling per se. We've talked more generally about projects. But in talking about the photo, we learned words like scaffolding, hydraulics instead of pistons, the pronunciation of equipment instead of equipment, KPIs were color coordinated, just like the machinery was color coordinated. The scaffolding lets you get around the plant, to get around, to move freely, to get around. Then we had 4 general discussion questions we took a look at. There we talked about things, and this was really good for vocabulary. Some of the key points in managing a project or budget, the background of people, blueprints, the design and blueprints, good word. I should add KPIs to that. That's a good business word as well. KPI, key performance indicator. Sector versus industry. Good vocabulary word from Tony was being proactive and risk management. I corrected you on think in. It should be think about. And the word profile, we've got to be careful because that can mean many things. So we might want to say skills or soft skills if it's about people, or capabilities. That could be very pejorative, so you've got to be careful how you use it. But skills is a good general word. Logistics, the difference between tasks and vocabulary words that came up, and mission and objective. To liaise with. When you have many companies you have to work with, you might have to liaise with them, connect with them, and coordinate your project. And if you want to have branches, you may branch out. We're branch countries, improve our branching out. Okay, so those were some of the vocabulary words. You can review this list. We're going to have a set of key vocabulary words and expressions, as we do in every class, every unit, that we'll learn because they're the essential ones. But when I correct you or give you suggestions, I'll keep them here in this document for you to share. Okay? So that's it for now. I'll be back for 2 hours tomorrow. The Great Short Stories class, we're going to be discussing our last short story, which was forgot his name, Sherwood Anderson's The Egg. I think we're finishing that, if I remember right. And we'll be doing the Working with Words vocabulary section of this unit, how to be on schedule. Okay? Great to meet you, Tony. Thanks for coming to your first class. Nice to see you, Yuki and Giuseppe. Bye for now, everyone. See you soon.
Thanks
Bye
to
bye.
you. Bye-bye.
See you next time.